Last November, I made an impulsive decision to catch a concert overseas. Maybe not the best idea for someone who's terrified of flying, but while the anxiety was strong, the urge to see 17 live again was just a little bit stronger. Hello, fellow human. Thanks for dropping by. It's Anya, and this is a little recap of my recent Singapore trip. Flash forward to departure day. I'm taking an early flight to Singapore. I decided to take my mom since her birthday was coming up, and I wanted to treat her on a little vacation. Since I'm an anxious flyer, I struggle to sleep on flights, so I needed to distract myself with food, content, and face masks. After nearly 4 hours that felt like forever, we finally landed in Changi Airport. Of course, we took a little stroll around the terminal and then paid a visit to the Jewel because we couldn't miss seeing the rain vortex up close. We went to Lau Pa Sat, and I realized I completely forgot the name of the food I ordered. Really should have noted it down knowing my poor memory. Anyway, we then headed to Joo Chiat Road for some snacks and ended up in Awfully Chocolate, where we had some chocolate milk and lava cake, two of my favorite things. After drowning in sugar, we took the train to Gardens by the Bay, with me once again marveling at how good their public transport here is. The gardens were such a nice place to stroll and bike around. We went to see the super trees and tried to find a high enough place to take photos. We also dropped by the Disney Floral Fantasy exhibit, and the floral arrangements were so gorgeous. Also, these floating balls remind me of viruses. We stayed as long as we could to make that entrance fee worth it. And look, little froggies that finally came out of hiding. Yay! And to cap off the night, we went to 2 light shows. First one at the Super Tree Grove, then the Spectra one at Marina Bay. Moving on to day 2. While my mom did her own food trip by the hotel, I decided to have a solo day at Sentosa. I decided to skip the train and take a long walk by the bay, which was so peaceful in the early morning. Great view, plus a few dollars saved, it's a win-win. My first stop in Sentosa was Universal Studios. My last visit here was around a decade ago with family, so I thought it would be cool to give it another visit, this time on my own. Despite being a weekday, the place was packed with tourists and it took me a while to get inside. But once I was in, I dashed straight to Far Far Away Land, which is on the other end of the park. My strategy was to get the farthest area first since there would be less people. Sure enough, I was able to get on some rides and into stage shows without having to wait long in line. It was also nearing noon, so I grabbed some early lunch there as well, knowing it would be packed by lunchtime. Next, I went to the Lost World to catch the Waterworld show. I got some front row seats, but far enough that I wouldn't get completely drenched. I also came prepared with a raincoat, of course. The show was super fun. I loved watching the cinematic sequences and stunts, and the audience interactions were really fun as well. Definitely one of my highlights. After that, I went on this Treasure Hunters ride, which was a pretty slow one meant for kids and families, but it was a nice little break where I could take some park videos. Then another favorite from my last visit was the accelerator. The line was pretty long for this, but I was happy to get a pod to myself. Definitely more intense than I remembered, but I had a lot of fun, as you can see here. I was on to my last set of attractions and managed to catch Po and Tigers for Chinese New Year, which was fun. My next stop was the Sesame Street ride, which reminded me of It's a Small World in Disneyland. Super cute ride with fun visuals. Then for my last attraction, I went to see Lights, Camera, Action by Steven Spielberg. As a movie lover, this was such a fun little treat for me. I loved the movie set with lots of posters, and it was so interesting to see how visual effects are used in film. Before I left, I made sure to grab a blue Cookie Monster cookie, which I was really looking forward to trying later that night. After leaving the park, I took the Sentosa Express to Beach Station where I'd be trying out the luge. It's been a long time dream of mine to try this out, so I was very much excited. After grabbing my helmet, I got on the skylift, which would take me to the start of the luge ride. The ticket I bought included 3 rounds, so I'd get to try 3 of the tracks. I went on the beginner's track first to get a hang of the luge, then I did 2 more of the challenging tracks after. At first, I thought 3 rounds was overkill, but then I quickly realized how addicting both the skylift and luge were, so no regrets. For safety reasons, I couldn't film while riding the luge, but I definitely had fun filming the tracks from the skylift.
I'm alone in my seat.
After the ride and a quick stop at the beachfront, I made my way back to the hotel to rest up for concert day tomorrow. So it's finally D-Day and I'm miraculously still alive. After a quick breakfast, I went to the meetup area of this walking tour I signed up for. we would be exploring the sites of Kampong Glam and learning some of its history. We also got to enter the Sultan Mosque, which was really beautiful up close. After the tour, I had a hearty lunch at Golden Mile Food Center before heading back to the hotel to get changed. I rested for a few hours, then I took the train to the National Stadium where the concert would be held. I really love how accessible the venue is. The train station leads you right outside the stadium. I wanted to have some photos taken, so I decided to line up in one of the photo areas. Once the doors opened, we began lining up to enter. Luckily, it wasn't too hot and the lines were flowing, so it didn't take us long to get in. Once I was in the stadium, I took some photos and videos outside the entrance while waiting, and some carrots were very kind enough to take my picture. When I entered, I was surprised to see the scale of the venue and how much better my location was than I expected. As usual, we spent the time before the concert watching some music videos. When the show finally began, it was only then that I realized it was my first time watching a concert in an open venue. It was nearly 7 p.m., but the sun was still up, and it was so jarring seeing the performances in daylight. But around 8 p.m., the sky finally darkened and I got to see the carrot bongs more visibly. We even got to do a wave, which is always fun. My highlight was definitely the carts. I wasn't expecting it, but I was so happy when they got the boys to get closer to the fans in the farther sections. Also, as a Joshua stan, I was very happy to see him with black hair, since during the first few concerts I went to, he always had a light pink hair color, so this was a nice change. Something I noticed was that the Singapore crowd is much mellower than in Manila. The energy dip was certainly a new experience for me, but as someone who is also a mellow concert goer, I didn't mind at all. Of course, no 17 concert is complete without an infinite agonize ending. It's one of my favorite traditions, though I felt like this one was much shorter than the previous concerts I attended in Manila. Overall, it was such a fun experience for my first concert overseas, and I even got to befriend my seatmate who was also an international fan. Day 4, aka our last day in Singapore. My mom and I started the day off with some breakfast at Ya Kun Kaya Toast. We were trying to figure out how to eat the toast correctly, and I'm not exactly sure if we did it right. But it was super tasty and I was very much tempted to bring a whole jar of the spread back home. After returning to the hotel to check out, we headed to Chinatown for some shopping. It was quite busy due to the Chinese New Year celebrations, and I definitely spent too much time hunting for souvenirs. One place I really wanted to stop by at was this stationery stall that lets you mail postcards. I picked up a ref magnet and some journaling stickers, while also struggling to pick from all the cute postcards. In the end, I went for this one, which I addressed to my best friend back home. I dropped it in the mailbox and tried to manage my expectations. But to my very happy surprise, the postcard managed to arrive nearly 2 months later. Sadly, it was all folded up, but at least it managed to make it to my best friend in one piece. After Chinatown, we had lunch at Maxwell Food Center to try the iconic Hainanese chicken. I tried the roasted version since I'd only ever tried the steamed one before. We then spent the afternoon in Little India and had some snacks at this sweet shop. There were these little donuts which were really good. Then our last stop that day was Haji Lane. My mom and I dropped by one of the many self-shoot studios there and got some photos to remember the trip by. Look how cute these are. After that, we got our stuff at the hotel before taking a cab to the airport. And that's a wrap on my Singapore story time. This is my first personal vlog since I've been trying to explore more creative outlets this year. Hope you enjoyed! Thanks for watching, and my wish for you today is a nap as good as the one I got after my trip. Bye!